Commissioners, Monday, July 6, 2020 meeting to order. And if you will, bow with me for word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful again to you for all that you give us each day. We just ask that you would guide and direct us and help us to make the best decisions that affect the citizens of our county, and just guide and direct us in all that we do. And we pray, Lord, that you will keep us safe from this virus. Reach down, put your hands on those that are affected by it, and just go with them and give them peace and blessing. And Lord, we just thank you for the opportunity to serve first you and then our family. And again, we ask that all we do be in your name and for your glory. In Jesus' name. Amen. And if you will, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. So moved. Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Three folks, I'll open the public forum. We have three folks that have expressed an interest to speak. And I'll remind those that are speaking of the 3-minute time limit. I ask that you please observe that. Ms. Evans, Ms. Mary Evans. Mary, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to say good evening to the board, especially to the chairman and the other commissioners. And I don't see Ms. Ghost in there, but anyway.
I'm here. I'm here, Barry.
She's virtual.
Okay, great. Anyway, good evening to all of you, and I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to discuss the Confederate monument in the Scotland County Courthouse. I printed my speech up because I wanted to save the time to 3 minutes as much as possible, but I still need to let you know that I did invite some citizens in case there was a delegation required. Invited to come in on this particular occasion with me, and one of them is Mr. Beecham. I did ask him to come. I also asked Mr. Lyons and Reverend Gibson, the NAACP, Mr. Tyson, and Mr. Don Rayner, and Shirley Kenholm, and some more people I did ask to come in as we presented this presentation. But anyway, in response to a nationwide movement, there has been a desire by many Americans, both black and white, to see Confederate monuments, which are located on public property, to be removed and or relocated. The reason for this, as described by Governor Cook, is monuments to white supremacy don't belong in places of allegiance. And it's past time that these painful memories be removed in a legal way. Again, I'm reading because of time, if you will, please keep my reading. But with that in mind, Governor Cook recently ordered the removal of Confederate monuments from the Capitol grounds. I am here tonight representing myself as a lifelong Scotland County resident and as an African-American citizen, and on behalf of others who have shared their opinions with me, both black and white and Native Americans. To us, a monument that celebrates the war fought by the thousands of people from the United States in order to maintain a way of life that was built on the idea of white supremacy and black enslavement has no place on the public square. Land that is the property of Scotland County citizens, not just the white citizens, but our citizens. The statue originally placed at the Main Street and later moved to the old courthouse and then the current courthouse, would never have been erected if blacks were included in the discussion. We did not have a porch at that time. This monument celebrating those who fought to continue a way of life that included the enslavement of blacks was conceived by the whites, conceived by the whites, built by the whites, and placed in the middle of town by the whites. Is that right? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
As time has changed, we no longer place monuments on public grounds that are offensive to a substantial segment of the population. We recognize that public spaces are owned by all of us, not just women. Whether one agrees that the Civil War in the Confederacy was primarily about the situation of slavery or not seems to have been settled by most reputable historians, with their verdicts being overwhelming that the war was primarily about continuing the scourge of slavery. These are words of Alexander Stephens, the Vice President of the Confederacy. He stated, the Constitution of the United States rests upon the equality of races. This was an error. Our government of the Confederacy was founded upon exactly the opposite idea. Its foundations are laid in the cornerstone upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man. That slavery idea to the superior race is his natural and normal condition. This, our new government, is the first in the history of the world based upon the great physical, psychological, and moral truth.
Ms. Mary. Ms. Mary.
Yes.
Go ahead and finish, but be quick. You're over time now.
Okay, I got it in. I and many other African Americans, black, white, Native or Indian, deeply feel that this is deeply wrong to glorify the fight to continue the enslavement of my people. We feel especially as these monuments are removed from the surrounding areas that to continue to be the monument celebrating the Confederacy of our courthouse grounds is the wrong message to residents and visitors. We feel that there is no reason for it to be at the courthouse. It was not placed there originally and has not been moved. There is no logical reason it cannot be moved. I respectfully, on behalf of myself and a large segment of the local African American community and other Africans, that the Confederates that be removed from the Scotland County Courthouse.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. All right, we recognize Mr. Ray Crabtree.
Mr. Crabtree had sent an email. He sent the email.
You gonna read it?
I can indeed. Yeah. Mr. Crabtree sent this to my email address on June 25th at 10:43 a.m. He says, "Hi, my name is Ray Crabtree, and I would like to say leave the statues alone. It's history. Don't take it down."
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ray, if you're listening. Is there anyone else?
Oh, you said
anybody else?
You said
You want, is somebody gonna read this other letter?
He may be on.
Online.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Herring may be online.
Ms. Herring, are you online? Ms. Herring?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can now.
Okay. My name is Archie Herring. I reside at 13761 Hamlet Road, Gibson, North Carolina. I am a proud descendant of Confederate soldiers, and I would love to see the monument stay where it is at. Yes, you can debate what the war of northern aggression was fought for. I see all sides of this subject, honestly, I do. I see where everybody's coming from. With that being said, if it were moved, where would it be moved? Would it be any safer where it would be moved? Is it safe now? I feel like if no discussion had been brought up about it, it would be kind of a moot point. But now that the discussion has been raised, that something may happen to it. I don't want to see anything happen to it. I don't want to see it defaced. I don't want to see it destroyed. And I don't know where it could be moved to, or either kept in storage. Also, with the other monument beside it, to its right, facing the courthouse, which has an inscription about the War of Northern Aggression on it, would it also be moved? Would the monuments down at the American Legion building on Atkinson Street, would they also be moved? Because there are inscriptions there of men who fought in the War of Northern Aggression. Just got a lot of questions and concerns, as y'all do also, and I appreciate y'all's time, and I thank you for everything y'all do. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Herring. I believe that's everybody.
Everybody that signed up.
All right, we'll need a motion now to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion, need a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. Thank you, Dee. All right. And item number 2 is the discussion about the movement of the monument. This subject came up. I was aware there were some general statutes that affected this thing. I asked Kevin to look into those, and he did, and got a blog from the school of government about what can, how can, and this, that, and the other. And it's a complicated piece of business to go about moving any monument, whether it's Confederate or whatever. Some of the questions that we're going to have to raise and try to answer is, number one, who owns the monument? And can we really legally move it? And the limitations on where to move it to. Those are just 3 questions that I have. That,
Ownership, what was the second one?
Who owns it?
Uh-huh.
And can we legally move it?
Okay, yeah.
And the limitations on where to move it.
Yeah.
Those are 3 items.
Like who, what, and where.
Having said that, I asked our county attorney to address this a little bit for us and just kind of do some research, what some of the legal aspects of it are.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Clearly, the questions that you just mentioned are the critical items to be considered before the board takes action. I have not done research on ownership of the monument because the board had not indicated, and still haven't indicated what its desire is about how to move forward. But I did have a call from someone today who is somewhat of a historian. He's a retired history professor. He indicated he had a postcard from 1914, I believe it was, that showed the statue in the intersection of Church and Main, which was apparently the original location. And I believe after that location, it was moved to the old courthouse location. I'm not sure who authorized that move, who had the legal authority to do that. And I think Kevin's indicated that there may be some ability to search the records to make a determination, at least maybe for the more recent move to the current courthouse location. As we made that decision, but I don't think it's clear at this point who actually does own it. I think there's probably a lot of arguments to be made that the county controls it. And from the letter that you received from the mayor, I guess the city doesn't believe that the city has ownership interest in it. But that's the critical initial question, because quite a bit of the process after that point is dictated by who owns it. There's one process that the state owns it, and I don't think they do, but I don't think we know at this point. I went down and looked at the statue itself before I came tonight, and I think there's a picture of it here, and also some of the inscriptions off of it that on a different slide. And I didn't really read it to say that it was given to the county per se. It does say to the Confederate soldiers of Scotland County on the inscription. I do not know whether there's a record from 1912, if that's when it occurred. It says it was dedicated on that day. I do not know whether there's a record that indicates from whom it came. I've heard that it was United Daughters of the Confederacy, nor to whom it was conveyed if it were conveyed. So that's an initial critical question that has to be answered. And then the other two questions you have kind of flowed from there. If in fact our board owns and controls it, or the county does, then this board would be the governing body that would make a decision about what would be done with it. And then the statute has some really specific language about where objects of remembrance, including this particular statute, may be moved if the decision is to move it. And we have to be careful in making a determination about what location would be considered there. So there are a number of things that have to be dealt with carefully in order to act in accord with the statute to control what we can do.
So if you read that thing, I'm not an attorney, but it says you could move it to here or there, but only for certain reasons. It has to be brought back within 90 days of completion, whatever that is. And it just, there's so many questions that wrapped around this thing. I just hope and pray that the folks that want to move will understand the position that we are in as far as moving. It's not that no one here wants to move it or don't want to move it or whatever. But whatever we do, we need to do it legally and we need to do it correctly. So there would not be a burden in the future on anybody. I just encourage and ask everybody to be patient as we research what we can and cannot do. And having said that, you've got a commissioner that has comments they would like to make.
I have a question. Do we know when the monument was erected, the date?
Well, it said the dedication date was 1912. I don't know whether that's the date that.
I know.
I mean, I'm not sure.
But
I know from talking with Thomas McKenna.
is that who you talked to?
Yeah, well, he called me. But yes, that's who I spoke
Yeah.
to. And I know from speaking with him that he said that his great-grandfather was in the state senate during that period of time when Scotland County was separated from Richmond County, became a separate county. And he said he did not believe it would have been before 1899 because up until then we were part of Richmond County. So then from that point forward, I guess the research could begin to see whether there's anything in the register deeds office, or I can't imagine there's anything in the clerk's office.
But maybe in the minutes of board minutes. And I don't know
Do we
how.
even have those?
If those are available, they would probably need state archives, if they're available.
But he did, in fact, he did say that, and I asked him to do this to see whether he had any, he's quite a collector of historical things of a general nature, to see if he had anything that would be helpful to us. And he mentioned one other name, was Debbie Myers, who is very interested in local history too.
Betty wasn't here in 1910, but she does.
Nor was Thomas.
She was close.
Nor was Thomas, and if there are other people that
Yeah.
folks on the board know that might have some
Yeah.
knowledge of it, it would be a nice starting point to know with some certainty what these dates are that might be the placement date and what there was
I mean,
a ceremony that
It's
indicated.
a huge monument. I went down and looked at it
Oh, it is,
myself,
yeah.
and it required some effort and money.
Well, there is a state article out there that covers that entire monument.
That
Even the
particular monument.
cost, yes. It tells who made it, when it was made, the exact cost, which was around $8,000 at that time money. It was the United Daughters of the Confederacy that did that.
So they paid for it?
They paid for it. And if Kevin goes back to the previous, to that picture, I sent that picture on the right there to him today that was found, and that's when it was moved from the old courthouse to the new court, well, you know, in 1965.
19 when?
65.
65.
So, and this is just some of the local ladies, which
That's right.
some of you may know who that is. The point of this picture was you can't really see who that is or what it is when it's up there. You know, you can tell it's a person. But the story on that went that it was made in Vermont, and the person that modeled for that was a Union soldier. And you think, well, it's supposed to be a Confederate monument, but until you get up and look at it, that is a Confederate soldier. Even his uniform is half is a Union soldier. But I did that just because you can't see it from the ground. You know? But you can tell where he's at. You can see the old water tower right behind him. It's still there now. So.
Do you know when it was moved to the old courthouse?
To the old courthouse. I didn't print that article, but I can send it. I've got it. It tells the whole start and finish.
Where was the old court? Isn't it where the new one is?
Bell. Davy Gibson.
1964 was when it was moved to the old courthouse.
That was in
Yeah.
64.
No, 64 was built, moved to the new courthouse.
I don't remember the date that it was moved from the intersection to the old courthouse. It's in that article.
Well, we still don't know who owns it.
1932.
1932. Oh, that sounds funny.
Does it say who authorized it being moved?
No.
Kevin, have you had, or Ed, anyone else had a conversation with Philip McRae? I think he had some information that he was trying to get for Superior Court Judge Futrell.
I'm not sure the judge is directly involved with that. I think he would be the person if some issue comes up.
It's all old courthouse, 1932.
Yes.
And when was the perfect one?
And then the new courthouse in 64, line
Yes.
65.
And the addition was like 20 years ago in the front.
Because I got an article, and I've got this book in the house somewhere, the Scotland County Heritage book.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've got that book.
So it has an article in here. And started in October 13, 1910, which goes back to the Cornerstone was initiated. 1929, they started discussing moving it from the church in Maine to the courthouse, to the then courthouse. January of 1932, movement begun. Ladies, and then in 1964 was moved to the big street.
Who was the they that was discussing moving?
The UDC.
Which is the United Daughters of the
Yes.
there probably were women in town that were part of that.
And that may be who's there.
And that's probably,
That is.
and if I could see better or read better, we might recognize
The
them.
only one I know is Dr. Purcell.
Moselle Park.
Oh, really?
And Miss Thrower.
What was her role in county? Ms. Parker? She was from Gibson, wasn't she? Okay, that's right.
Yeah, you have to be over there, and you take around 50 equipment.
But I should put a preface to that. I don't know that that's what those ladies were. It's just, it doesn't say in that article.
They're there for a reason.
Yeah, they were.
Well, we can solve the problem and all. And let me ask another question. Do we want to form a committee?
I think that would be a good idea, Chairman, to form a committee and do whatever we need to do to get the information we need to make this decision. Naturally, I support the moving of the statute, but I know that it's going to be a process that we're going to have to go through to get it done. So, yeah, I support it, form a committee to do the research and get what we need to get. Go.
Okay.
Oh, Bob, another question. To my knowledge, Fulton County, Vance, and Wilmington is New Hanover County actually had the city workers overnight dismantled and moved to a location. Now, Fulton County, they 4-3 voted to move it, and they didn't say where they moved it to.
You don't know where we moved to either place?
In place. They didn't discuss it because I guess they didn't want to be vandalized or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In Vance County, they had moved it yet, but they voted. The board voted, but they voted by committees. They got a committee appointed by the city government and the county government. And two of those counties voted. They got a committee together to do research on how to go about moving. And the questions asked were cost effective, what does it cost to move it, and where, like the question you answered earlier. And I was reading up on that last night.
Good information.
I was surprised with Fulton County.
Was the committee to make a recommendation to the
county? Because like I say, their situation was just like ours. It falls on county courthouse property. That's what the property. I read it.
If it wasn't on courthouse property, we wouldn't be talking about it.
When we talk about
Somebody else might.
But I would think that I would hope that we get a committee with some citizens. I mean, it involved the whole one's for it, one's against it. It just iron it out.
I think you made a good point, Commissioner Farrell, because the statute, among other things, requires that if the object is moved, it must be relocated to a place of similar prominence, honor, visibility, availability, and access. So that might be and somewhere in here it mentions cemeteries are not included.
Cemeteries are not approved?
There is a mention that cemetery, you may not move to a cemetery. So now,
Unless it was originally in the cemetery.
yes, but it wasn't.
And I don't think the
Can you move it in the middle of the
cemetery is a very
street
nice
since
place
it's already in the middle of the street?
That's good.
Danny, would you care to put your, or maybe you did put it in a form of a motion that we form a committee?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I said,
All right, we have a motion and a second. We form a committee to investigate and see how we can and where we can and all the ramifications that we're going to run into. Have any more discussion?
Are we going to do that in conjunction with the city?
I think we ought to.
Or maybe somebody from every community?
I would think every community does it. When they say they, these Buncombe County, they pull together, they got sections from all committees. Even one against removal, one removal, one that's, and that's it, some board members, you know.
Maybe, I don't know how many, I'd say 5 to 7, maybe maximum of 7. Yes.
They had 12.
There's 12 appointments.
Seven commissioners and 5 city council.
I have a question. Look, the ownership's not going to be, I'm fine with the city having input. I don't want to diminish that. But they can do research, but the final decision, once we determine who owns it, then that decision's going to come back to us.
It's the county.
It is a county issue. So, I guess we could just, the city council or whoever they want to put on the committee, that would just be a good resource for us, I guess. Is that what we're looking at? Yes. Just another body politic to contribute to the conversation?
It's like what McFadden said, you're going to have folks that or moving.
I know.
Just we'll leave it where it is, as you already heard. It's not going to be an easy process.
No, but what I think your point is get all those people together and let them come up with a solution.
Are you saying to make it clear that it's an advisory committee?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think their mission would be to make a recommendation. If we are the owners, and my supposition is that we are.
We're probably going to be the owner because there is no owner. And it's sitting on county property.
And well, my guess is there's not going to be anybody else rushing to take ownership of this.
Well, what happens if it turns out we're not the owner? I mean, do we get into a whole nother set of?
We might need, we will probably be involved in negotiating with the entity that is the owner because it's on property you control.
I wonder if the Daughters of the United Daughters of the Confederacy, I wonder if that's still even an active organization. I don't know.
I think it is. It's still, you know, an article I read online, I want to say last time, Virginia. It's a place in Virginia that they were just, you know, it just made a movement, some kind of movement. So you know that they, you know, that's why United Daughters of, I didn't know anything about it until I read it last night. But it did something last week.
Bob, I don't know that we have to agree on the number tonight, but I think it would be important that it be representative of the entire county, not just. I think I think 5 to 7 people may not be enough. I think you probably want to get somewhere 10 to 15 where you, and I think you would want an odd number. Make sure you've got somebody from Wakeman, somebody from Gibson, somebody from Laurel Hill, you know, somebody from John Station, you know, and all races, ages, you know, trying to get a cross section. And reasonable people can usually come with a reasonable recommendation. So,
and recognize the difficulty and the challenge of getting the research and making a recommendation. Yeah.
What I don't want to see happen to us, or anybody for that matter, is the folks that really are adamant about moving, not get discouraged or whatever, and then we start doing damage to it or this, that, and the other. But to realize that there's strings attached to it, like I said a while ago, move forward in an orderly, mannerly fashion to do it and do it right. Not have any regret when we get through, and not have any more division among the citizens of our county.
I agree with that.
I say I agree with that.
We need to try to come up with a number of the committee, you said 12 to 15.
I would write to the city council of Wagram, Gibson, and Laurinburg, and ask for them to select from their membership of council 2 people to serve on this committee. If you got 2 from Wagram, 2 from Gibson, 2 from the city of Laurinburg, that's 6.
You may need 1 because you certainly want to get some of the citizens of the county to be on the committee. So I would ask for 1 representative from, from most of those boards. I really hope that we can get some of the people from the county.
Yeah, I'll just start with the 3 municipalities, East Laurinburg, and then we have a relationship built with Laurel Hill over the community center. We certainly reach out to them. I think we can come up with 10 or 12, 13 people.
I think 15 would be a good number.
Okay, 15. Somebody just got to take the leadership on it. I guess that's just send out emails to those municipalities and through the media, ask for people to volunteer if they want to come forward.
I think it would be appropriate to invite folks in the community who want to be on the committee.
Right.
Yeah, we have 75 people who want to be on the committee. They all can't be on the committee.
Right.
But somebody can select who those people are going to be, and everybody can have input to that committee.
Yes, I agree.
Kevin, will you, if this is the agreement of the board, Kevin, if you will reach out to Gibson, to East Farmer, Ballville, Laurinburg, and Wagram, and ask them for 1 of each of their boards, and then we'll get to the media, ask for volunteers to serve on this committee. And like Kit said, if there's 100 on the list, it can't be with X, and so we just have to narrow it down to that, and be sure that we have a cross mix of young and old and all denominations represented. Is that agreeable with the board?
Very good. Mm-hmm.
So do we need to take action on that?
We know.
We have a motion on that, form a committee. We have a motion to form a committee. Now, I think it's set on 15. And, we have a second. So any more discussion? If not, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right. Next item is resolution for adding a farm drive to the DOT system. Kevin?
We have a request to add McLaurin Drive. There's already a right of way in there, I believe. But it's currently, yeah, it's okay. This is off of Wagram. If you go off and if you follow the curve in Bundy Road, or Bundy Street, sorry. This is off that intersect or off that curve.
And Bundy keeps going to the left, right?
Yes.
And then that, okay. I know where that now.
Yeah. So yeah, Bundy is that 90-degree turn.
Right.
And this is just a request. A resolution is required before DOT will even consider accepting a new road there. And DOT is not obligated to accept the road or improve it.
Well, unless we've had this before come up to the board, not this particular thing, but others, if it doesn't meet DOT standards, they will not accept it. And that's with and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, what's the road that we've battled for 10 years, the one up in the same field?
Trader Road. Trader Road, yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway.
There's a couple of them up there.
Well, DOT not even considered unless we have a resolution.
That's right. You gotta have a resolution.
But that's no guarantee.
And that's gonna be guaranteed. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not involved in this at all, but I am pretty familiar with that property. I would just point out that according to the language that Mr. Patterson put in here, that all affected homeowners on the road have to sign the petition where they're, according to the map, there are 11 lots that are joined and 4 signatures. I'm not sure how effective the request is going to be.
Is it paved right now?
Well, I'm not sure what they're talking about with McLaurin Drive, but the part from McKay or McCoy Street back to Bundy Street is paved. So I'm not sure what are they.
The extension from that curve on is what
His request relates to the extension.
Is that only those, does the pavement only cover those 4 lots?
Well, one of them that signed this petition don't even live on that. I read that.
2 of them are on McCoy Street, according to this.
Yeah, this is your neck of the woods, right? Billy.
Oh, yeah, it's in my neck of the woods.
Well, you know it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
DOT is most likely not going to approve.
Can you say that again, Kevin? Because I could barely hear that.
DOT is most likely not going to approve it with or without. Without the county's resolution, they won't consider it. With the county resolution, they will most likely deny it.
I'm trying to think of other ways we've done it.
And when you said that the resolution or the petition had to be signed by,
I'm just reading from what is in the agenda package. It says, NCDOT requires citizens who wish to road to be added to DOT system to have a petition signed by all the affected homeowners on the road. Well, I'm not sure how many homeowners there are, but there are 11 lots that abut McLaurin Drive. I think 4 of them that abut the area back here, but 2 of the individuals that signed this document live on McCoy Street. So I don't know. I don't know if they have all the necessary.
What's the distance of the road?
It says 2/10 of a mile in here.
How much?
It says 0.2/100 yards.
There's nothing.
does it, where does McLaurin Drive go?
The back side of it.
Does it just dead ends?
It is.
It dead ends at the end of that second lot.
Yes.
So they're looking to have it paid to cover those 4 lots.
Yes.
All right, what's the wishes of the board? Will approve this resolution or?
From a legal standpoint, if you don't lose anything.
Okay, so you have a pen or make you all right there, Eric?
It occurs to me that I would have a more favorable impression of this if the 4 people who own the 4 lots, and this pavement would serve for the ones who signed the petition. But I mean, are there houses on those 4 lots?
There is a house on number 143 and a house that's not located either 145 or 146.
So there's as far as you know, there's only 2 houses on those 4 lots.
I have a question. it's highlighted in yellow. So is it paved going back up to McKay Street, or is it just that little end that's not paved?
It's from Bundy back to the back lot line.
I got you. So when you turn right onto McLaurin off of Bundy, it's not paved.
It's not paved.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
It's paved between McCoy Street and Bundy.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
further. The lots at the back are actually not even described by mixing panels. You can see on it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's really, it's really like, affect if we do a resolution. If we don't do a resolution, it's up to the DOT.
But we have.
Well, we'll do the resolution and then we'll see what DOT does. I mean, you want us to do the resolution unless you're setting a precedent with doing this for others to come, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Is that your motion, Betty?
Now, I think it does open us up to have everybody in the world coming in walking. I mean, I hate to send DOT work. Well, they're not going to work. They're going to look at it and probably make a decision in about 30 minutes. Okay.
Well, even if.
But, you know, we have to look at the overall, are we setting a precedent doing this, or will this be something that is unique to this particular situation? And let DOT decide what they want to do. I don't know what to say.
You have received resolutions in the past, requests for resolutions in the past. They've been approved. Not saying unanimously, but they have been approved, and most of them have been denied by DOT.
So we can discuss this all night, so.
I'll make the motion to go ahead and do the resolution.
I second that because at least we get our part.
Okay, we have a motion.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second that we approve the resolution. All in favor, let us know, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Kevin, policy committee recommendation.
Okay. Next item, policy committee met to discuss, we've been continuing to update personnel policy, updating language, breaking them into smaller sections. This is changed to the annual leave section. The first change is a technical aspect. Right now, the personnel policy, your annual leave rolls to sick leave up for 240 hours on your anniversary date. This would change it to the fiscal year date. It's just easier to change everybody's at once. Doing it in July, August, rather than trying to remember to check every month to roll it up.
You said fiscal.
Fiscal.
Not count fiscal.
Correct. So in the agenda, it did say there was also new policy about not paying out annual leave. That's not new. That's not new language. That's just clarifying language. It's already in our policy that we do not pay out annual leave while the person is still an employee. So it was just a change in language. The change that is in here, it is a change. It would, under the current policy, the department head can request, and it's up to the county manager to approve if someone leaves without giving proper notice, that their annual leave can be withheld. Under the new policy, annual leave will not be withheld, with or without proper notice. And there are just questions about that, if you're leaving it in there, having that as a discretionary item, versus, creates interesting legal situation, the possibility for interesting legal decisions versus having it just as a firm matter of policy. Yes, sir.
I'm just, as chairman of the policy committee, I'm just going to, for the record, Commissioners Alford and Gibson and I met with Susan Sanders and our manager, and we discussed this at length. We gave this a lot of attention, and I have given it a lot of attention for the last month. And the committee voted unanimously to bring it to the board with a recommendation that this change be made, that the discretionary piece be removed from the policy so that it is a policy and not a procedure. And the discretion is, as Kevin stated, can create difficult situations for counties that we don't need to be in. It just opens you up to potential lawsuits, really. And the research was done that, and from the research that I did and from what our attorney did, that overwhelmingly supported the policy being worded this way.
All right, then the recommendation of the policy committee is that the board approves this change. Is that correct?
That is the recommendation. And I'll make that motion.
Need a second.
I will second the motion. We had lots of conversation about it. There's leaving that element in there potentially serves a positive purpose, but the negative outweighs the positive.
All right.
So I do second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right. Okay. Now the next item is a logo presentation. Mark, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Thank you for
You got in your pack several different images that you asked for. In your package that was printed to you, you see some other layouts as well. Some with the plaid, some with block, like health department in blue, but it's worded in white here. The other one is not there. But the overall, these are the final two that we wanted you to discuss, possibly approving these designs. Now, if you still like, if you want to do the plaid in it, you have that in front of you. And we can change that color scheme on some, but you're not going to be able to see the plaid on certain shirts. You're not going to be able to see the block, the top one there, health department is blocked in blue with white letters, health department. Well, on some shirts or some logos, you're not the department. But this is the overall concept of the two logos that we would like for you to consider approval.
What's the current one now? I mean, this is gonna go on with the county.
Currently do not have a logo.
Seal.
The seal, we have two county seals, which is Lady Liberty, and that's it. Hills of Justice.
Mark, is it not true that when it comes time to print, that the plaid would make it a little bit more expensive because of the different, more colors, with the more colors?
Well, you cannot do the name in plaid because it doesn't show up. Like you can possibly do the little semicircle that's red on the top. You could do the star in plaid. You could do something different in plaid. But these two logos, the name Scotland County NC, cannot be plat. It just gets, on font, it just gets lost. You lose it in the image quality.
Well,
I don't see why we need to have the plat.
I was gonna say the opposite.
I really don't, you know, Scotty.
Well, it reflects the name of Scotland. I thought that in the beginning, and I didn't see how the plan could be incorporated into a logo until Clarence mentioned it. And then when I saw it, I thought, that looks pretty good. But I don't know why the star or the swoosh or the circle couldn't be in place.
Yep.
That would be understated, and it would be very significant to Scotland County.
What is the plat saying, Carol? Carol?
It just says that the county was founded by settlers from Scotland, and that heritage is still present today. That's fine.
So many other periods. So are many other heritages, so I'd rather not see the plat.
I will say that the flag would only look good as a banner. It would not look good on a car passing by. It gets lost.
That's true.
On a shirt, it kind of gets lost. So if you wanted to have a special event, in that event, you would say, okay, here's our logo. Can you put the flag on there for the Highland game? Yeah. Can you put it on the Scotland versus the Richmond football game? Yes. But on any other thing, it gets lost. And it's so small of an area, a car going 45 miles an hour, you're not going to see it on the back of the truck, on the side of a dumpster, or on the side of a dump truck. And on a shirt, it kind of gets lost as well. Like, what is that? Is it red? Is it blue? Is it purple? Just one solid color is just a cleaner look.
Well, the plaid can be added to anything, and the bigger the surface, the better the plaid. I mean, we know that. Well, I like the one on the bottom.
That's no what.
I like the one on the bottom too without the flag.
I like the
I
one.
like that blue background, that blue instead of that black. Like you write Carol on this number 2, the bottom.
Because Scotland's the big word and county, NC are the little words.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
And Mr. Ritter, to your comment on the health department, you can put health department in blue there with white letters. We just showed you these two saying these are the actual logos that we want, but that can be tweaked. We can tweak that for you on that.
Like I say, the bottom one.
I like the blue, I like the font, I like the county,
Font
NC being smaller. Yeah.
You're talking about the bottom one.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with that.
Why is everyone looking at you?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
What's the number is that, Mark?
Well, it's on the slide that you've got. It's the bottom one on this page here. On your pages, it might be 9 or 10. Jason, can you answer that? I don't have that.
I think it's 6.
Page 6. Yeah.
6.
Page 6. I think it's upper right-hand corner. Is that right?
Page 6.
Top right. Upper right-hand corner.
It's right here, Bob. Top right.
All right, that's the one everybody wants to go with. Page
Okay,
6.
well, Carol, let Carol make her motion, I'll make sure I understand what she wants.
My motion is that the one on the screen, the bottom one, that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my
That's
motion.
that's the one I like. Also.
All right. And we have you could have a formal motion.
I did.
You got a motion and a second.
Yes, okay. All, any more discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
All right,
That's a lot of
appreciate
work.
it.
That's good.
this is what it's going to be.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one right there. All right. Health Department. Kristen, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. Good evening, Commissioners. Basically, what I wanted to do today or tonight was to just give you an update on the coronavirus here in Scotland County, our cases. And remember, the Health Department only report cases for Scotland County. So currently, Scotland County has 151 cases, in which 134 of those cases have recovered, and we do have 2 deaths. So basically, we have 17 active cases here in Scotland County, and I know you all have seen or heard contact tracing. We do perform contact tracing on all of our positive cases within Scotland County, and we, during that contact tracing, we notify any contacts that we may receive from these individuals that test positive for the coronavirus, and we actually ask them to quarantine themselves within their homes if they don't want to be tested, because some people, they are afraid of that Q-tip going up their nose, so they rather quarantine for 14 days, and they are paid because of the federal government. If someone is a contact to coronavirus or they test positive, they are, their employers do have to pay them with the coronavirus codes that we have to use. And also, because Governor Cooper last week mandated that all citizens in North Carolina is mandated to wear masks out in public and in public places, with the health department, we bought some masks, and we are in the process of getting the logistics together where we can set up around the county, be it Gibson, Wagram, around the county of Scotland, and we're going to actually give out masks so that all the citizens will have masks, so there should be no excuses. And we're trying to keep our numbers here in Scotland County low, because we know whenever we look at our surrounding counties, their number for coronavirus is very high and it's still growing. Ours is still growing, but not at the rate of our neighboring counties. So that's why we decided to do this venture. And I spoke with Kevin about it, and he thought it was a great idea. That was it.
Thank you, Kristen, for what y'all are doing.
Can I ask her?
You're welcome.
That's a question for you.
Just curious, Kristen, when you're talking about the folks that don't want to be tested and they go home and quarantine themselves 14 days, are they counted as an active case, or?
No, we can't count them as an active case unless they test and their tests come back positive.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Christian, how you know these people are really quarantining themselves? How do you know they're staying in the house and doing what they're supposed to do? If they decide to take that option.
Well, we encourage them to stay in the house, and we actually encourage them to get a test, but you can't, unless they test positive, we can't mandate them. I can't mandate them to stay in the house. The only way I can mandate them if their tests come back positive. So we do encourage everyone to get a test, you know, if they are a contact. And we actually, like some of them who say, well, I'm kind of scared, we would actually just talk to them, and then we'll let them know. I know at the health department, we use the test that you can just use, it doesn't go all the way up your nose, it's just in the nostril. So we'll bring them into we'll go outside where they are, and they can actually do the test themselves and put it in the collection tube. So we offer them that test if they don't want to have that, go to the primary care, or either to their doctor if they're using the old type test with the Q-tip going all the way up their nose. So we'll give them different options, and mostly the people who are contacts, they do want to be tested. So we have very few. Now at the beginning, we had more people that went home and quarantine because we didn't have enough tests out there. But now we're having more people, they'll come on in and get a test. So it's very few that refuse.
Kristen, I have one question. So the only test that's administered by the health department is the nasal swab, is that correct?
That's the only test, yes,
okay.
That's the only test that's in Scotland County. I don't know anyone that's doing it by mouth. Because even, go ahead.
Well, I know, I was told, can't say I know it, but I was told that there was a blood test that could be done. Are you aware of that?
If they're talking about a blood test, they're probably doing the antibodies test.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Okay, Kevin, Longville.
Okay. And this is just, I think the board already asked previously that this just be a continuing item. So that's the reason it's still on here. But with it, of course, we did designate $20,000 of the Parks and Recreation budget to go to hiring someone who can help develop a site plan and not plans for the building, but concepts for the building.
Any questions about that?
Have they began?
They've not yet.
But you have hired someone.
No, we're going to have to go through the process
Okay.
because we couldn't do it until the budget started anyway.
All right, so step one.
Step one.
We're at step one. Okay. All right. Bill, board and committee appointments.
This month, we just have been presented with the need to make an appointment to the RCC Board of Trustees. Currently, our chairman is on that board, and he will have requested that his term ending, that he would not be reappointed. And so at this time, I would like to recommend and make a motion to appoint Commissioner Whit Gibson to the RCC Board of Trustees.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right. Any more?
That is all we have for appointment. I will add, we've done very well. I think at the beginning of the year, I sort of went on a mission to get all of our boards filled, and we have made great progress. A lot of citizens have stepped up and are serving on boards that have not served before. I don't want anyone to be discouraged by that, but I am appreciative of those who are serving. And if you have inquiries about board vacancies, our clerk of the board, Jason Robinson, can help you with that almost immediately through email and let you know what's available so that you can submit your application.
All right. Okay. Kevin?
Okay. Couple of quick updates. The Sneeds Grove convenience site, of course, with the rain, that has been delayed some, but the contract completion date for Sneeds Grove is July 19th. We have ordered new compactors to go in, and we will arrange their delivery date once the contractor begins pouring asphalt. The complex parking lot, which is right out behind us, the contract date is scheduled for October 6th for completion. The contractor was working just before the holiday to figure out his schedule to begin. He's looking for the middle of July. He said it would take about 30 days to complete the project once it begins. At that point in time, traffic in this area is going to be interesting, at least while they're doing the two main drives into the building. The other item, of course, the state did release the additional $150 million of COVID relief fund from the CARES Act, from the Federal CARES Act. And this is the second half of the funds. So the total CRF funds available to Scotland County is now 1.4, just under $1.5 million, of which 373,000 will be allocated to municipalities. And I will be sending out, I'll be contacting the municipalities and letting them know, because they have to submit a plan back to the county for their use, which would also have to be submitted to the state. They are under the exact same requirements for usage that the county is. At this point in time, revenue replacement is still not an allowable use. Now, with this, depending on the plan, if a municipality does not submit a plan, those funds, any funds that they would have been allocated, would go back to the county and for reallocation. But municipalities must receive the $373,000, assuming they also spend that.
Let me get over on the municipality. That include East Laurelburg?
It would include East Laurelburg.
Very good.
Well, it depends. There's no requirement. Honestly, this is not realistic, but East Laurelburg could get $373,000, and nobody else get it.
That was going to be my question.
But what I'm looking at doing is just having an allocation and having the initial discussions with the municipalities. And of course, it would depend on what their plans are. Is looking at an allocation based on population. So of course, Laurinburg is going to have significantly more than the others. But then again, with the restrictions that are available uses, it's going to be real hard for East Laurinburg to spend the money, period.
Laurel Hill is not the municipality. They're not in the mix.
Correct. Now, with that, of course, the county still has other funds to allocate in. Some of those, and we're going to be meeting again with a number of departments looking at different ways of allocating these funds. We've already been talking about the possibility of mental health, doing community testing, of course, funding PPE, the modifications that we've been doing already for social distancing. We are going to be continuing to find different ways. Now, these funds don't include additional funds that the health department has received directly. Elections is going to receive $70,000 directly for the November election. And
that's not part of this money.
That is not part of this.
But we could give them additional money?
If additional funds are needed and they meet this qualification,
right, yeah.
Program.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's an allowable expense.
Yes. So, but we would use those funds first. There are some areas that we do have greater flexibility on. So we, the county will not refund these funds back to the state.
So you think we can spend them?
We will spend them.
I can imagine that the Board of Election would need a lot more than 70,000 the way we're going to have to do this election in November.
And some of that's also going to depend on exactly what the final requirements are going to be. And some of that, the State Board of Elections is going to have to determine exactly how those costs are going to be.
I see.
So we are going to be looking to determine those, and I will be contacting each of the municipalities and working with them on, or asking them to develop a plan. There's an Excel spreadsheet in your agenda packet. It's 3 pages on there. But basically, the plan is, here are 7 buckets that you can spend this money on. How do you allocate the money? That's the plan. So it's not that deep, so it's not incredibly detailed, but it's specific. Now, with that, if we give any municipality funds and they spend money that is later determined to be ineligible expenses, the county is responsible for paying the U.S. Treasury back. So we are going to be looking at figuring out oversight, and the oversight will not necessarily be the same for each municipality. We will treat East Laurinburg differently than we will treat the city of Laurinburg, because East Laurinburg does not have a finance staff versus Laurinburg. So
Wagram didn't have a finance staff.
Yeah. So
better watch Wagram too.
Yeah. But we're going to be working. We're going to work with each municipality to try to get them funds, and also make sure that they're aware of what is and isn't allowable expense. And some of it may be something that, if like East Laurinburg has something, it may be something we wind up managing the funds for them and doing it on their back.
So you've already submitted this?
I will submit this. I've already submitted the original plan for $800,000 for the county. I will resubmit this as a modification.
But I thought the June 1st date.
Yeah, yeah, that was submitted. And because we can't submit plan changes, so I will submit that. Right now, there's no amount by municipalities. When I submit, there will be an amount by each municipality. That would be their original allocation. But that will be done once we have a plan from the municipality. And also, we're going to be looking at developing a larger plan for the county, also figuring out ways of addressing direct needs. And of course, some of this, there's a lot of places, well, let's figure out what we're going to do with the shelter, assuming we have a hurricane that we also have to do this for. Right now, that is not allowed to prepare for a disaster, is not an allowable expense. To respond is. So.
And this money has to be spent by December 31st. Do I remember that correctly?
It has to be spent by December 31st. And they have gone from quarterly reporting to monthly reporting. So that's something else we would also have to do for the county, as well as work out with the municipalities. And that's my brief report.
Ms. Danny, do you have anything to say to the board?
Well, I do. I have gone to all the small businesses in Wagram and given them the emergency local small business funding grant application, so that they can recover monies that they spent to try to open up after the COVID-19, shut everything down. So they were very, very happy to have the opportunity to apply for it. I hope by now they have applied for the grant.
That's good. Thank you for doing that.
Do we know how many have done that? Through EDC, right? That's what we're talking about. How many applied?
What, Mark?
There were approximately 15 last week.
But he's,
Is he here? Still with us?
Mark, are you still there?
I am.
How many folks have you had apply for your loan?
I've got that right. It's actually going to be presented at our board meeting tomorrow for the EDC. But our current number of people who have applied is right at 28. And as of today, we've awarded $15,614.91. I have two that will probably be approved Thursday. That'll total another $4,000. And I received 3 applications today that tentatively is probably going to be about $3,500 for those 3. So we should be probably around $24,000 awarded by this time next week.
And that's about half of the initial or half of the allocation for that grant cycle.
Yeah.
So we are still.
That could be increased though, right? I mean,
yes. But right now, so we are still encouraging people to apply. We are looking, that is for locally owned businesses in Scotland, owned in Scotland County. I believe they've had to be an operation for a year. If you opened your doors a week before quarantine, that's just really bad timing. But also this will go off and is a reimbursement for a response to COVID, especially for cleaning supplies, social distancing, protective equipment, masks, things like that for employees. So what we're looking for are those costs that businesses had to get into stay open safer or reopen safer. So we are looking for small businesses to continue to apply.
I don't have anything.
That answer your question, Benny?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your comments. You have nothing?
I don't have anything.
Bill? I'm good. Thank you. All right. And with that, let me just again reiterate this thing about the monuments. It's heavy on my heart. I just want us to, as a county, as a community, be patient one with the other, and let's do it and do it right. Whatever we do, and all be in one accord. Just having said that, I encourage all of us to be on our good behavior and continue to be safe in all this virus that's going around. And be mindful of that. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Are they spending the same money we got? We're gonna buy a generator. For ourselves?
Well, that generator and an